A group of international aid organizations say Israel has missed the U.S. administration's deadline to allow more aid into Gaza. The U.S. gave Israel a 30-day deadline last month to allow a minimum of 350 trucks of humanitarian supplies through per day. Our senior correspondent is Sasha Petrusik. He is in Ramallah in the West Bank this morning, continuing to cover the story for us. So this deadline, this ultimatum in sense, Sasha, has passed. What now?
Well, that's a very good question, Heather. Under U.S. law, if this requirement is not met, in other words, if Israel does not allow this so-called surge of food aid in, if they don't open more border crossings to get that aid in, if they don't do a number of things that are on that list, then the United States legally is obliged to pull back on the weapons supplies that it delivers here. It's in U.S. law. So as soon as the U.S. government decides that they have been that Israel has not conformed to this, then this is almost automatic. The issue, however, is that the U.S. government has not made that decision. As recently as last week, they were saying that Israel would be getting a fail mark. That's their term from the State Department, if the decision had to be made last week. Now, though, the question is, have they met the requirements? And what we are hearing from aid organizations is that they have definitely not, that the number of trucks going in has been far below what is needed, that too many of the aid trucks have been refused permission to go in, and that a number of other issues which affect people's living conditions, not only in the north where the condition is extremely dire, but even in the south where things are a little bit better, has not met any sort of bar of what humanitarian organizations expect. This is what one of those organizations had to say today.
Operating environment is not allowing humanitarian aid, humanitarian actors to access supplies and access populations in absolutely desperate conditions across the whole of Gaza. So no, the fundamental need for supplies and access and safe passage of humanitarian actors to reach populations, they are not in place. Absolutely not, no.
Now, as far as Israel is concerned, it hasn't really said much about all of this over the past 30 days. That was the deadline that they had, the period that they had to fix the problem. And even today, the new foreign minister in Israel, simply said that he thought this could all be worked out somehow. So they don't seem too worried about it, at least not publicly, although this is hanging over their heads. I do have to say that as of today, after this report, which was put together by aid organizations, came out condemning Israel, saying it had not met the mark, Israel did say that it was going to be opening one more crossing to allow food aid to go in, and we will see what the impact of that is going to be.
Sasha, I mentioned we're speaking to you from Ramallah, and you're there to cover this story, another story, a member of Israel's cabinet who's pushing for Israel to annex settlements in the West Bank. What are you learning as you cover that story today?
Well, Heather, the West Bank is dotted with these settlements. They are considered illegal under international law, but Israel has been expanding them at a steady pace. There's about 150 of them, including this one right over my shoulder on that hilltop over there. Many of them are on hilltops. And Israel has essentially taken the position that it has the right to establish these, even though the West Bank is occupied territory. And as I say, under international law, most countries consider that these are illegal. We are seeing, though, the finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, who is a settler himself, very strong supporter of that movement. He is part of the governing coalition of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He said yesterday that it is time for Israel to start annexing this territory. In other words, taking the actual land and making it Israeli, and not worrying about the fact that under international law it is actually Palestinian land. A number of others have also taken that position. They've also talked about moving into parts of Gaza once this war is over with settlers. And today we heard from the Prime Minister himself. Netanyahu said that it is time to put the question of annexing parts of the West Bank on the table, that with President Trump, Donald Trump, going into the White House very shortly, who Israel considers a friend, that it is time to start discussing that issue and pushing for that internationally, and especially with the Americans, because the last time around, Donald Trump did recognize the occupied Golan Heights as Israeli, also recognized all of Jerusalem as the Israeli capital, even though the international community considers East Jerusalem, part of that city, to be not to belong to Israel at all, but in fact to be something that needed to be negotiated. This is the situation that stands right now, and this area is very, very worried about what the next steps might be, partly because settlers here have been more aggressive in taking over land and also in some cases attacking Palestinians. And the government here is very determined to take whatever advantage it can of a Donald Trump presidency to seize parts of the West Bank. Heather?
Sasha, thank you. And we'll look forward to your reporting more on this on the National ahead here on CBC News. Thank you, Sasha Petrusik.